Hi, and welcome to another episode of the Legacy Coderetreat Codecasts. Today we're going to talk about how we can fix a bug with legacy code techniques. We saw during the last episodes how we could introduce system tests, and now we'll use one of the techniques to create system tests. So, what I'm going to do now is show you a bug that exists in our codebase. I've got this bug report saying that the message announcing a correct answer should be answer was correct, but in fact it is answer was current. I have an issue here, so let's see how we can change the code and not introduce any other defects. So the reason why we want to add tests and have a safety net is that we don't want to introduce other defects. Now, always when I change code, legacy code, I want to have a clear reason. One of them is fixing a bug. I never want to change legacy code without a very clear reason. So let's see how we can understand our starting point. So in this code base, I want to find this text, and I found it. This is in the method was correctly answered. So to start with, we'd like to have a system test verifying that this was correctly answered. And I have this condition in penalty box of current player. So if it's not in penalty box, I'll reach this part of the system. So let's see, I have, as always, a test which shows me that JUnit runs well. It fails now. If I'll change it to true, it will work. So JUnit works fine. That was why I needed this test. And so now let's say that I will write a system test, and I will add game, and I will want to call this method was correctly answered. Of course, what I need to do now is to catch the outputs, as we done last time with the console. Again, I don't really know what the output is because this is a characterization test, so I know it's a text, but I will have probably a print stream to show here. And what I need to do in order to steal the output of the console is to create a print stream and say system set out print stream, and this print stream would need byte array output stream, I need to pass this here, yeah, sorry, and this one will show me the path. So if I'll run the test now, let's see what happens. I have an index out of bound exception. Usually exceptions are a good thing because they show me what the problem is. In this case, let's see if I'll go to game Java 142. Here it wants to get players. It wants to get the current player. As I didn't add any player, I do not have this. So what I need to do is I need to say game add some player name to make this test work, and now I need to see the differences. So I have this as an output. Let's copy this, and now it's green. As we said previously, we can have a smaller part of the code being exit during the system test. So if I would do this, I would catch only this part, and I'm happy to get a subset of what I'm interested in, because this is surely too much, this test that the player was added. So if I would do this, I will have a more focused system test. Okay, and this works. As you can see now, the rest, the things that I didn't steal from the console, appear in the real console, because I start stealing it here, and so only anything that happens around here will be caught by the assert. So I'm happy that I have a system test. Now let's name it. Let's say that game was correctly answered, but with not in penalty box. Penalty box will write correct answer to console. I don't know any better name, so probably I'll need to refactor this a bit later. Let's see if this works. Okay, so now I can commit. Added first system test. So now what I want to do is I want to refactor a bit more in order to understand that I really have a bug or not. Often you can have these cases when you will be reported with bugs that in fact aren't bugs, or they are just not well reported. So I really want to write a test for this and check that this really is a bug. Of course, this case is extremely simple. We could understand that here this really is a bug, but for other cases you might want to test that the behavior is really a bug, and this is a good technique to do that. So what I want to do now is I want to extract the bug so that I would be able to understand what it does. But before that, I wanted to show you that this system test is in fact helping me here, so I have coverage. If I deleted one, exclamation sign, this works. If I go back, if I go back, it's again green. So this shows me that this path of the code base is touched by the system test. uh, if I would do the same here, the test is still green. So in this way, without using a code coverage tool, I can say that this code is not at all covered. So let me revert, because I've made some changes to the production code and I just want to undo it. Simple and fast. So now what I can do is I can make room for some for the code to understand what the bug really does. So for this I want to extract this in a method, and I would call it get correct answer message. So this is a private method. I can refactor this out because I have coverage on tests. Let's see if I run them. They will still be green. So what I want to do now is I want to write a test showing that this is really a bug. I want to make this public, and I want to write a test saying correct answer message is valid. So I will do a game instance, and I will say get correct answer message. This should be a string, the actual, and I would need a string as expected, and let's say if I do assert equals with expected and actual, let's see how could I characterize my system. I have some issues, so of course this is the text. So if I'll run it, I'm green. So let's commit and say edit characterization test for bug. Now I can see that the text here, the expected one, is exactly as my bug report says. So what I need to do is change it to the good text. In order to do that, I need to write a new test saying correct answer message is valid, change because of bug. I want to take exactly the same test, but instead of saying current, I want to say correct. This test will fail. And why does it fail? Because I have oh sorry, it fails because I forgot the public. Now it fails because the actual is different than the expected. So what I can do now is go to the production code and change it. And now the previous test will fail, and it says expected answer was correct, but answer was correct. Also, the first test fails because it has the same name. So I clearly have a possible issue with the safety net. This is a very delicate moment when we need to think about what we need to do. For me, it's clear enough and it's simple enough to understand that all I need to do is change here the expected and delete this test. And now I have green tests. So what I have done, I have added a new test, and now let's say bug with text wrong correct message was fixed. And now basically I have cleaned up my code base here, but I can still do some refactoring, so don't forget about refactoring ever. I can see that here I have this repeated in two tests, so I'd like to create a before method where I will create the game, and let's make this private. And let's delete this one. And the test still pass. What I could do again to refactor would be to extract this into an expected and to extract this into an actual. The expected could move very easily to the top part of the test, to the arrange part, and this is also the arrange part. This is just the act and this is the assertion. So I have a clearer structure of my tests. Okay, so let's run them again. And let's say git commit refactored the tests. Also, another thing I could do now is have this extracted to a method saying get console text. And again, what I could do, I could inline this oops. Yes, so I cannot inline that. Okay, so I've done some refactoring. I like keeping these at the top and see the tests afterward. Okay, so I have two tests, one system test, one especially focused on this. I didn't want to change more than needed, so I took the simplest way to change the production code in order to make it correct, and I just added a very focused system test, and then I added a unit test in isolation that showed me how the system behaved. I wrote the characterization test, then I wrote the other test that showed the correct behavior, and at the end I deleted the old test, the old characterization test, and now I have a system that behaves correctly. So this was uh, an idea for you on how to fix a bug on existing code, and I hope you enjoyed it. Next time I'll come up with another episode on legacy code, and it will gonna be a surprise. So until then, have fun coding.